is Joy News Prime.
It's Friday, 23rd September. Thank you for choosing Joy News Prime for your comprehensive 2-hour news coverage. My name is Araba Kumsin. Coming up tonight, Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana reveals the lives of several Ghanaians are in danger following the use of unqualified persons to dispense drugs in health facilities. The Kukwem Traditional Council in the Bono Ahafo region gives government a 72-hour ultimatum to deploy military men to the town, or it will advise residents to arm themselves following clashes over the voter transfer exercise. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police assures, despite recent attacks on Electoral Commission offices in the eastern, northern and Bono Ahafo regions, the police service is adequately equipped and ready to prevent any further outbursts of violence.
And in business, GNPC signs agreement with the World Bank to provide partial guarantee of $500 million for the Sankofa projects. Also in the bulletin, GRA shuts down Kumasi Ratri Park over non-payment of VAT. The news is also available on ABN television across Europe, DSTV and GoTV. Stay with us.
The chief has
The lives of several Ghanaians are in danger following the use of unqualified persons to dispense drugs in health facilities. That's a warning from the president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, Thomas Boateng Appiagyei, who describes this trend as a recipe for disaster.
In Ghana, the pharmacist to patients ratio is about 1 to 15,000. This, according to the Pharmaceutical Society, falls short of the WHO standard of 1 to 2,000 and defeats the country's goal of promoting universal access to quality health care. In a speech to launch the day, commemorated at the forecourt of the Nima cluster of schools in Accra, President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, Thomas Boateng Appiagyei, emphasized significant effort of pharmacists towards national development. He bemoaned the worrying trend of unqualified persons used to dispense drugs in health facilities. He says the practice puts the lives of many at risk. He called for urgent steps to address the situation.
Increasingly, in recent times, we have seen the trend of pharmacies and dispensaries in both public and private facilities being manned by unqualified staff, putting restricted medicines, that is class A and B medicines, in the hands of unqualified personnel, which is very dangerous. And it is a recipe for disaster, putting the health and life of patients and members of the public at risk. And this has to be addressed as a matter of urgency.
He also mentioned that the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana is ready to lend its support to government and the aggrieved members of the Government Hospital Pharmacist Association who are still on strike to resolve the impasse.
The PSGH leadership has offered to play a key role in engaging the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, Ministry of Finance, and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to bring the unfortunate 6-year impasse with GOSPA on 3 key issues: their conditions of service, the interim market premium, and then the grading structure. We believe that our collective efforts must be geared towards finding an amicable solution to this protracted labor dispute without compromising the integrity and quality of pharmaceutical services and care that Ghanaians deserve. The PSGH finally wishes to assure government and GOSPA that it is willing and ready to provide any assistance towards a swift resolution of their differences to ensure an immediate resumption of pharmaceutical services in public health facilities.
The World Pharmacist Day is observed annually on September 25 to acknowledge the significant roles played by pharmacists in healthcare delivery across the globe. Matilda Pomaga for Joy News.
And speaking of pharmacists, Government Hospital Pharmacists Association GOSPA is yet to carry out its threat to withdraw emergency and inpatient services, though the 10-day ultimatum given government has elapsed. The striking pharmacists who withdrew their services on September 5th threatened to intensify their action if government fails to meet their demands in 10 days. Matilda Ovemega has more.
Over 600 members of the Government Hospital Pharmacists Association declared a nationwide strike on September 5 following breakdown in negotiations with government over their interim market premium, grade structure placement and conditions of service. The action has basically affected supply of drugs in government hospitals across the country. The group have been sued by the National Labour Commission in a bid to get them to return to work. But at a news conference on September 13, the group called a bluff and threats by the NLC. Instead, it threatened to intensify the strike if its demands are not met in 10 days. Former chairman of GOSPA, Stephen Kokwe, has been explaining why the group is yet to carry out its threat.
When we go on strike, we always want to put that human face. That is why we decided that we have to extend this emergency thing. Now, today, as you said, is the 10th day. We have decided to take stock of what has happened. The minimal interaction that we have with government and the employer, and see how best we can review our strategy from tomorrow. So we will relate to you as to our strategy from next week.
Do I get the understanding that you are no longer going to withdraw emergency and inpatient services like you said?
Well, that will be not by me alone. It's a collective decision by the national delegates. And once that is arrived at, we'll let you know. Yeah, the posture of government has been been very good. Although we have made some little inroads, we think that government should have made that issues better.
Meanwhile, persons living with HIV/AIDS are going to be one of the hardest hit groups if GOSPA carries out its threat. Pharmacist Eliane Ewumi, who also doubles as the Kolebu focal person on HIV, paints a gloomy picture of what awaits patients if the association goes ahead.
The virus will replicate. The immune system will be destroyed. They will start falling sick. Resistance will set in. Resistance sets in means that the medicine that we have put them on may not work effectively, and then we'll have to switch the entire regimen to another set of regimen. There are cost implications. The person's health, because the person is going to deteriorate. As we sit here now, our stores are locked. The medicines are supposed to be air conditioned. So the longer we stay away, the worse the temperature in which we are storing. Our medicines have expiry dates. We are supposed to be working so that we don't have expired products. If we have closed our doors, it means that we'll have stocks that will expire. We'll have stocks under the wrong temperature. And then when we take the effect on the human beings.
GOSPA is expected to reconvene its over 600 members to decide on their next line of action. Matilda Pomaga for Joy News, Accra.
Now, the Rattray Park in Kumasi in the Ashanti region has been shut down by the Internal Revenue Service for non-payment of tax Friday. Although the IRS has not officially spoken to the media, a source disclosed to Joy News that the operators of the amusement park did not register to charge patrons value-added tax on services offered since its inception. The new VAT rate of 17.5% took effect in Ghana following a presidential assent. Under the regime, the standard rate, which was 12.5%, moves up to 15%, while the National Health Insurance Levy remains at 2.5%. A person who fails to issue a tax invoice as required under Section 19 for goods supplied or services rendered commits an offence and is liable on summary conviction to a fine not exceeding 10 million Ghana cedis or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years or both. Joy News' Erastus Asaridonko, who visited the park, saw the entrance padlocked with yellow tape with an inscription, "Keep off, property attached by Commissioner IRS" on it. According to the reporter, around midday on Friday, all staff of the amusement park and security persons were told by security officers to move out for the park to be closed down. I'm still watching Joy News Prime. We have more news for you. Stay tuned. Don't go away. You're welcome back. It's 74 days to the December 7 polls, and the Electoral Commission has launched a document aimed at helping all parties in the electoral process to better understand their roles and responsibilities ahead of the 2016 polls. Described as the Manual for Political Parties and Aspirants and Agents, EC Chairperson Charlotte Osei explains it will be prudent for all parties to study the manual and adopt it to ensure free and fair elections. Madam Charlotte Osei also revealed that as many as 23 candidates have so far picked nomination forms to contest for the presidency.
The Electoral Commission's officers across the nation will soon be receiving the nominations from candidates seeking to contest in this year's elections. So far, just for the presidential slots, we have had as many as 23 persons picking up nomination forms. This is made up of 16 political parties and 7 independent presidential aspirants. There are hundreds of parliamentary aspirants across the nation who have also picked up nomination forms. So clearly this is going to be a very competitive elections with a high level of interest in contesting. For all the candidates who have picked up nomination forms, it is important that the forms are filled out properly and submitted to the EC before they can be confirmed as candidates for the 2016 elections. And that is why we're launching this guide this morning. This guide helps the various presidential and parliamentary aspirants and their agents understand the requirements that they have to meet in order to become accepted as candidates and in order for them to successfully compete in the elections. For our democratic political system to be truly representative, voters need an electoral process that is executed with integrity. And ensuring integrity in the electoral process demands that candidates, agents, voters, and the Electoral Commission all conduct our activities in line with the electoral laws and the policies. And so, being 10 weeks away from the elections, we think it is important that we give this guide now out publicly so that all who are part of the process start taking the time to learn the laws that regulate the process and to guide it so that we can all better serve the interests of the electorate.
We're staying with the EC because in the light of recent attacks on the EC's offices in the eastern, northern and Bono Ahafo regions, the Inspector General of Police, Dr. John Kudalo, has said that the police service is equipped and ready to prevent any further outbursts of violence during this year's elections. He also assured of security beef up and support from all stakeholders, including traditional leaders and citizens. The IGP made these comments during a regional tour of the Greater Accra Friday. Jennifer Ikwama joined the convoy and has more.
The IGP began his tour with a courtesy call on the Greater Accra Regional Minister Nilai Afote Agbo, who urged police officers to remain above ethnic affiliations in the line of duty, and also pledged the support of the Regional Coordinating Council.
With my understanding and the wisdom that I have in making sure that Ghana moves forward, we should impart into them so that they will handle issues in the way that they have to handle them. Professionally. They have to go deep into their hearts. They should be open-minded, free to treat everybody fairly, because no one is above the law. And when it comes to work, we are one family. That is my understanding. In my constituency, I've handled issues. If one wants to naturally and wholeheartedly work for his country, and it is not personal, I don't think elections should be do or die affair.
During a courtesy call at the Ghana Traditional Council, the acting president, Nidodu Saki II, praised the force for the relative peace in the region and requested training of selected individuals to act as civilian officers in areas where police presence is thin.
We are now preparing for elections in December. We expected the police to be up and doing to ensure total peace, especially at the known flashpoints in Accra. Mr. IGP, we appeal to you to consider the idea of community policing. This could be done in collaboration with the traditional authority in the community, so that credible persons could stand in for the police where they are absent. Detail for this could be a jointly work.
At the National Police Training School, the Inspector General emphasized that a strategy is in place to curb outbursts of election-based violence during this year's polls.
Well, this is the fourth election that we are going to police, and we know the gadgets we need. I'm not saying we have the the biggest numbers as we require. I mean, it's not happening anywhere in the world. But we need the optimum, the minimum of which we can perform, at least as policemen. And I'm sure that we took very good care of the ones that we had in the previous election 4 years ago. The policing elections is a special act. It's different from the everyday policing activity, routine policing activity. So there are some gadgets and training expertise which are only used for elections. So after elections, we keep them, we clean them, and put them down. That's the elections okay. It's true that we've increased the electoral areas or the police stations, which means we need more gadgets. I've made our request to government, and I'm sure we shall get them before the elections.
For Joy News, Jennifer Kwamo.
The Kukum Traditional Council in the Bono Ahafo region has given government a 72-hour ultimatum to deploy military men to the town, or it will advise residents to arm themselves. There were clashes in the area last week between members of the governing National Democratic Congress and the opposition New Patriotic Party, who accused each other of manipulating the voter transfer exercise in the constituency for their gain. The incident led to the destruction of properties, including the offices of the Electoral Commission in the area. At a press conference in Kukum Friday, the spokesperson for the Kukum Traditional Council, Nana Chenewa Ampem, said they have lost confidence in the police in the area. That is just one of those areas. Chief Superintendent Dr. Benjamin Agojo is the Director of Operations of the Ghana Police Service. He joins us for more on what the police are doing to avert violence in the various areas where they've identified as flashpoints. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
So, has the police, first of all, on this issue of violence in the ongoing, I beg your pardon, the ongoing voter registration, voter transfer exercise, we've received reports of violence in many areas in the eastern region, in the northern region, and just recently in the Bono Ahafo region. Has this come to your attention?
Yes, they have all come to our attention. And as a police institution, we are a bit worried about it. And I must say that a simple exercise of voter transfer should not have attracted this kind of violence. And I'm happy to observe that the EC themselves did not anticipate it. And nobody anticipated it. And that tells us the kind of job that we all have as a nation ahead of us. But having said that, let me also add that we have also taken cognizance of the fact that these areas, of course, are some of the flashpoints that we have identified and have already started work on them with our citizens' sensitization programs and other things. But specifically to your point, as I speak now, the IGP has directed that, but first of all, before I go to what the IGP has directed, remember that the EC has not invited police to to be part of this voter transfer, because it's a simple civic responsibility, and we thought that it was a normal thing that will go without any violence. But now that it has come to our attention that many people are getting involved in these violent things, or some violence is being associated with it, the IGP has directed that all district commanders should liaise with EC district bosses so that they find a way of policing the area and identify troublemakers and arresting them and prosecuting them. So for now, all district commanders are under instruction to work closely with all district election officers to ensure that there is sanity in this process of voter transfer, which otherwise should have been a peaceful exercise. Again, let me say that we have observed that one of the problems, one of the triggers is when people begin to bus their supporters en masse to EC offices to transfer their votes. Why won't we allow individuals to walk or take their own buses or anything to EC offices and voluntarily transfer their votes or otherwise? And we are looking at areas where sometimes the voting, the difference will be very close. And so when these kind of things happen, our political parties should also be cautious of the fact that they are bringing a lot of hardship to Ghanaians if they continue doing that. People should be allowed to go and do their voting or their transfer of votes without being bussed. And that is not good for us as a nation. And in fact, it doesn't give us a good image as a nation.
These attacks on the EC's offices, I know you say that the EC did not inform you about this exercise, and hence you are unable to put together some sort of security arrangements, to time with the exercise. But in the light of these attacks, are there any security arrangements to avert, further attacks on the EC's offices?
I didn't say EC did not inform us. I said that EC informed the whole nation, and nobody anticipated that such a simple civic responsibility of voter transfer was going to attract this level of violence. So now that it has happened, we are putting in place those mechanisms by ensuring that the district police commanders work with their EC district officers to ensure that the offices are protected and the people who come to transfer their votes are also protected, and the exercise takes place in peaceful atmosphere.
Okay, so far we've seen attacks in the eastern region, in the northern region, and also in the Bono Ahafo region. And you say that some of these areas are part of the list of flashpoints that you have put together. Which other areas would you say are flashpoints that you're looking at?
Generally, we have a lot of flashpoints. We have mentioned that as a police institution, we have identified over 5,000 flashpoints. We have said that. And we are working on them. We are working with them, with other civil society organizations and other institutions by sensitizing the public and hoping that by the time of elections, this kind of violence would have reduced. Maybe if we had not done much, this kind of violence would have been more than what we are seeing now. So, of course, I'm saying that we have other areas which we are working on. And
where are those other areas? Are you able to tell us?
I will definitely not be able to mention over 5,000 potential hotspots on air to you now.
Obviously not, but you can mention a few of them to us. We've seen some in the Kukwam area. We've seen attacks in the eastern regions, to whom, which you say are all flashpoints. Which are the other areas that you can mention on the top of your head to us?
Now, you see something. Take note that you will be stigmatizing certain communities if you begin to mention them anyhow on air. If I'm able to mention all, I will mention, but if I'm unable to mention all, I'd rather not mention any of them. If I mention your hometown, for instance, as one of the flashpoints, I don't think that the people from your hometown will be very happy with it. So let us rather be careful of which places we mention they will say the police have said that our town or our community is a potential hotspot. That is a kind of stigma, it's a kind of tagging communities, and that is also not one of the things that we want to be doing, mentioning communities on air. The important thing is that if you really come to me right now, maybe I'll give you the list and tell you that these are the areas we are looking at, and it's up to you to go and mention or otherwise.
Very well. Thank you very much for your time. That's Chief Superintendent Dr. Benjamin Agojo. He is the Director of Operations of the Ghana Police Service, giving us those security arrangements to avert further violence in the ongoing voter transfer exercise. Now, the Inspector General of Police, COP John Kudalo, has cautioned police personnel against any action deemed unprofessional in discharge of their duties before, during and after December polls. He said failure to remain professional will attract the necessary sanctions.
John Kudalo indicated that personnel are supposed to remain neutral to ensure that the upcoming elections end peacefully. He said this in a speech as he visited Tema region to assess preparation towards the elections. The IGP, who had visited 9 other regions with his entourage, were very impressed with the level of preparations. In a response to show that Tema Regional Police Command was ready, a simulation exercise was organized.
The Bush administration has to be seen as being fair and firm in the exercisation of these duties before the election. Personnel are therefore warned of taking partisan positions in the discharge of their duties. Personnel are therefore warned of taking partisan positions in the discharge of their duties. We are policemen, our main duty is to take a little course to ensure that we are transparent and fair, and everybody here has been so. Not that doing this service, but our actions show that we are following the course of justice. So whoever and legislator will now be accepted by all. Any personnel therefore found culpable shall be severely disciplined by the police administration.
Meanwhile, Tema Regional Police Commander DCOP Paul Awini said they are undertaking some threat assessment to ensure stability. Despite the level of crime in the region, he believes the police are doing a lot to ensure that Tema remains peaceful.
The region enjoyed large periods of relative peace and were interspersed with brief periods of law, order and security disturbances. As a whole, there was a downward trend in most of the major crimes such as armed robbery, murder, defilement within the region. For example, armed robbery reduced from 190 cases in 2014 to 173 cases in 2015.
Chinese ambassador to Ghana, Sun Bahon, who presented 15 motorbikes to the police in Tema on behalf of St. Louis Steel, was optimistic that the police will be able to handle any election-related issue.
The Chinese embassy and the Ghana Police Service have established good working relations, and in recent years, bilateral cooperation in the field of law enforcement has been enhanced. China has been providing training opportunities for Ghana Police. We would also like to thank Ghana Police Service for serving the national development strategy, helping consolidate peace and stability in the country, providing timely assistance to Chinese nationals in emergent cases, and carrying out close collaboration in tracking fugitives and fighting against transnational organized crimes. I hope that both sides will continue to promote exchange and cooperation in those fields. Let me take this opportunity to wish that the forthcoming general election in December will held in a peaceful and orderly manner. I just watched the simulation exercise and I have more confidence than ever.
Kwame Yanke's report for Joy News.
This is Joy News Prime. Don't go away, because when we return, business is up next. You're welcome back. It's time for business, and Emmanuel Biafe Abwaji joins us. I'm so excited this evening. Maybe because it's such a rainy.
It's
really raining heavily.
Yes. Studios.
Oh yeah. So what's in business?
Well, in business, GNPC has signed some form of an agreement with the World Bank to provide some risk guarantee to companies that may want to invest in the ongoing Sankofa project.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
That's good news for investors.
It is good news indeed.
All right.
Thank
Take it away.
Very much. And thanks for joining me on business. Businesses that may want to invest in the Sankofa Jinyame gas project can now be assured that their capital may be safe and protected. This follows the signing of an agreement with the World Bank to provide up to $500 million to Ghana in the form of a partial risk guarantee for use if the country defaults on payment for gas from the Sankofa field. The agreement will also ensure managers of the gas field can attract more funding from the partners. Alex Mould is Chief Executive Officer of Ghana National Petroleum Corporation.
Letter of Credit Agreement, which governs the issuance of LCs by the LC banks, HSBC and Standard Chartered Bank, at the insistence of GNPC, and the reimbursement and credit agreement between GNPC and the LC banks, under which GNPC undertakes to repay any amount drawn under the letter of credit. Fourth one is the IDA guarantee and indemnity agreement, as well as the cooperation agreement, which together constitutes the direct agreements with the World Bank. The gas sales agreement and the supporting contractual agreements signed between GNPC and the state on one hand, and the private gas suppliers, i.e. ENI and Vitol, on the other hand. Under these agreements, the gas suppliers have undertaken to develop, produce and sell gas to GNPC, and we have undertaken to pay for the gas supplied. These have all been approved by Parliament. The Sankofa Jinyame project, we normally call the OCTP project, will be Ghana's third producing asset after the Jubilee and 10 fields. GNPC, together with its partners, Vitol and the operator, ENI, developing the discoveries as an integrated oil and gas project with shared facilities on a floating production, storage and offloading vessel we call the FPSO. We still have to name it, but it's called the FPSO right now. First oil is projected to come on stream in the third quarter of 2017, while the first gas will follow in the second quarter of 2018. Currently, development work on the OCTP project are progressively, steadily, and within target and budget. It is worth noting that overall progress as of August 2016 stood at 54%. There are some facilities, some works that have progressed more than the 54%, and there are some that have progressed less than 54%. So the media, I hope you're not going to say that the FPSO is not ready. The FPSO is almost 80% complete. The field, lying about 60 kilometers offshore Ghana, holds an estimated proven hydrocarbon reserve of 204 million barrels of oil and 1.1 trillion standard cubic feet of natural gas.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, opposition MPP flag bearer Nene Akufo-Addo continues his tour of the Greater Accra region. Today, he spent time visiting constituencies in the Tema Metropolis and Ashaiman. Latif Idris is monitoring this and he joins us on the line. Latif, we understand that it's raining heavily in Ashaiman. Has this deterred the supporters from coming out?
Well, rightly pointed out, it's raining in Ashaiman where Nanado is campaigning. And I must tell you, the rain, the residents here have defied the rain and have poured out in their numbers, cheering up Nanado and the campaign team. Today's endorsement has been massive for the MPP. Nanado, we know, started his campaign in the Tema West constituency. From Tema West, he moved to Tema East, then Tema Central. Then we came to Ashaiman. I must tell you, we followed the flag bearer for some time now. Today's endorsement is unimaginable. And he pointed out that he's been touring regions across the country, and today's endorsement is something else. And Nanado has been sending his message of making secondary education free, of fixing the premise war issue in the fisheries industry. He's also promised to create jobs. And one of the statements Nanado made today is the fact that President Mahama continues staying in office it's a threat to this nation. So Ghanaians should vote massively for his candidature to make him the next president, so he can fix what he calls the numerous challenges facing the country. However,
Latif, we know that Nana Addo began his tour of the region earlier this week. When is he wrapping up the tour of the Greater Accra region?
All right, if you can repeat that.
I'm saying that we know that Nana Akufo-Addo began his tour of the Greater Accra region at the start of this week. Is he wrapping it up anytime soon?
Yeah, today marks the end of the first phase of his campaign in the Greater Accra region. This is the Hope Tour in the Greater Accra region. He's running up today. He's been to all the regions, and so climax is today and it's ending in the core constituency. As we speak, there is a mammoth rally ongoing in that very constituency where Nana will be addressing party people and passers-by who have all gathered to listen to what the flag bearer of the new patriotic party has to say.
All right, thank you very much, Latif Idris there, and he brought us that update from the campaign tour of the NPP flag bearer. It's time to bring you all that's happening on the entertainment front, and guess who's in the house? Miss G.
Hello.
As always, Miss
hello.
G. Hi.
But you know, showbiz and politics, a lot still going on. As today, a gospel musician, Kwesi Oting, who some weeks ago declared his support for the NPP's presidential candidate Nana Akufo-Addo, has paid him, you know, a visit. You know, he went to Nana's residence today to pay him a visit before even Nana set out to go on his tour. And you know, he's been talking about the reasons. He says that, well, it's not because he's going to get anything from the NPP, but he thinks that that's the right thing to do, blah blah blah. You know, the same stories, you know. So he's paid a call to Nana to officially.
I wonder why though that they are actually declaring at this time. Must they really come out and declare their support?
It's the season. It's the season. It's the political season.
So what happens if you decide not to declare your support openly to one political, flag bearer or the other?
Maybe you don't get to benefit anything. That's if there's any benefit that comes with it, though. But you know, it's more like, okay, I have a voice. Let my voice be heard because I have a certain following, and I might be able to influence my following with this voice that I have.
That makes a lot of sense.
I have been asking the question, though, whether any celebrity in Ghana can influence people's pattern of voting.
Oh, I'm sure
with
they
their
can.
status. Really?
Thank you so much for joining us to work this week. From all of us here, we thank you all and have a lovely weekend. I'm Araba Kumsin.
This is Joy News Prime.